welcome to From Shambles to Shambhala. We're in this period now, the end of February into early March, in the sign of Pisces. And a really interesting thing happens around about the 19th of February when we move into the sign of Pisces and the 55th gene key begins. And then at the end of that week, we move out of the 55. This year it was the full moon in Virgo, which was in the 59 line 6. Then the very next day, that was on Monday the 26th, the sun moved into the 37th gene key. Now what's interesting about this is the sun moving forward goes from Aquarius to Pisces, but the ages go in the reverse direction, the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. So on this timing, the 37th gene key is the gene key of the age of Pisces, and the 55 is the gene key of the age of Aquarius. But as this happens, they go in opposite directions. So it's a really interesting moment at that crossover point. So then what I do is look at the shadow of the 37, the end of the age of Pisces, and the shadow of the beginning of the age of Aquarius to see what we need to work with. And the shadow of the 37 is weakness. And this is typically where the feminine principle has been suppressed by a dominant masculine force. Now, the masculine force can come through a man or a woman, but it's when someone is putting you down and demeaning you such that your self-esteem shrinks. And the whole age of Pisces was to do with the shadow of the suppression of the feminine. The shadow of the 55th gene key is victimization. So now what we need to do as we move through these Pisces gene keys is to look into whenever we have been made to be the victim of someone else putting this pressure upon us from a dominant standpoint, because that age is now over. So now we want to look at what the gifts and cities are for those two gene keys, which the 37th is equality and tenderness, and the 55th gene key city is freedom, and the gift is freedom as well. Once we're free, we are free. So equality is about finding the balance within ourselves between our masculine and feminine energy and bringing them into a harmonious balance, with now the feminine stepping up much more than she has been allowed to bring through her intuitive knowing, and then to have that supported by the masculine. The 37th gene key is very much about support. And so this is about our own internal support and also the support from the people around us. 37th gene key is very much to do with family and community and receiving the support that we need to move through this next beginning of the age of Aquarius, which is finding our own individual freedom. Now, as we move through the sign of Pisces, which will take us to the Equinox on March 19th, then the four gene keys involved are called the Ring of Divinity. And this is now about connecting to our Christ consciousness energy within. Nothing to do with religion or Christianity. It is the higher frequency energy of oneness, interconnectedness that comes through Christ consciousness, which is already embedded within us. So what we are now doing is clearing out all those blockages that prevent us from experiencing that Christ consciousness energy, as I've just described, whenever we've played the role of the victim. And then we have the new moon in Pisces on March the 10th, and that coincides with the 22nd gene key, which is the most important gene key of them all. And it is the gene key of human suffering. It could be your own suffering, or it could be you witnessing suffering out in the world. And probably Richard Rudd's favorite expression is suffering is grace. And that's a difficult concept to understand. And what he means is that whenever you can see the blessing that existed within any suffering you went through, that leads to divine grace. And divine grace is the highest expression that we can bring into embodiment in form at this time. So again, a great opportunity round about March 10th to really dig deep into, are there any residual sufferings within you that you need to let go of and to clear. Then we move into March 25th, when we have the beginning of eclipse season. The nodes of the moon have now moved into the axis between Libra and Aries. So now we're going to have the full moon, which will take place on the 25th, and that will be with the moon in Libra and the sun beginning its journey in Aries. And this pair of axes will be aligned up with the way in which we manage our lives with our own inner needs, which is Aries, and the needs of the other, which is Libra. So how do we find the balance between those two as we move through this energetic field? And then we are already by then in the equinox energy. The equinox is when we shift out of Pisces into Aries. Pisces is the last sign. It's a completion. And because we're shifting out of Pisces into Aquarius in terms of the ages, this is the time for absolute total completion of all of the shadow frequencies of Pisces, as I've just discussed. So then on the equinox, which is taking place on March 19th, then we are going to create the opportunity to open up into a brand new vista, an expanded energy where we will step into our true selves and begin the journey into the age of Aquarius. At the equinox, all the energies come into alignment, and the wonderful genius Rory Duff has shown us that on the equinoxes and solstices each year, all of the ley lines and vortexes and sacred sites come into a resonant frequency. It's the perfect time for us to connect with Mother Earth and anchor those energies in. So I strongly recommend that around about the 17th, St. Patrick's Day, 18, 19, 20 of March, that you spend some time out in nature, connecting to Mother Earth. And where we live in Victoria, British Columbia, we've just had the cherry blossoms begin their emergence and the daffodils are beginning to flower. So you have this real sense of spring beginning. And that's really, really clear when we get to the equinox. So this is this great opportunity then for you to finally clear out any old patterns of suppression and victimization to set yourself free in a tender and loving way to enter into this new age of Aquarius, which is upon us now. So this is a really important transition time as we connect to this ring of divinity and the highest spiritual essence that resides within us as we connect deeply with Mother Earth. So I hope you have a great rest of Pisces right through to the equinox and into the sign of Aries in March.